Hello, hope you're doing and feeling well, and welcome to the second devlog of HURA. Where we left off last time, there was a bug that caused the animations to continue playing when switching weapons really quickly. This was caused due to how there was only one weapon state being stored in the player blueprint. To fix this, I moved the weapon state to the weapon base blueprint so that all the weapons would only edit their own state. And while I was at it, I also simplified the weapon animation blueprint as well. The current shoot bullet function only shoots forward from where the gun is and not where the crosshair is pointing. To fix this, we need the vector from the spawn point of the bullet to the point in the world where the projection of the crosshair lands. So I added a line trace from the camera center in the forward direction, and the hit location is exactly the point we need. So I subtracted those two to get the direction vector, and I normalized it to get the direction cosines, which I plugged in instead of the forward vector, and it worked. Kinda. The problem was that it would sometimes randomly just not fire where we were looking, like it was completely off. Turns out that if the line trace didn't hit anything, it returns a default value. So I increase the distance of the line trace, and if it still doesn't hit, I just return the forward vector, and that way it still just shoots forward, which is good enough for me. I made a simple Niagara particle system for the muzzle flash and spawned it at the barrel of each weapon. Are these muzzle flashes realistic? Nope, but it's right for now. I modeled and then imported a grenade, and then set it up as a projectile, after which I made it the shotgun's secondary fire ability. For damage, the grenade gets its distance to all the enemies and then checks the distance between them and itself and applies the damage based on a linear function of the distance. I then textured the grenade and made a simple Niagara system for the explosion. I was getting bored of the way that the scene looked, and so I changed the lighting to be a little more dramatic. I wanted a nice grenade, and to implement it, I needed to test out if I could slow things down. So I made the target move according to a sine function with the time as an input, and well, this probably happened due to the period of the time function I used. So I multiplied it by 100 and it worked. Sadly, the custom time relation to slow objects down wasn't working, which is unfortunate, but I'm not sure why this is. If any of you have an idea why, please do let me know. I made a bullet trace to differentiate between the primary and secondary fire, and because snipers leaving a trail makes them feel powerful. I made it so that the bullet trace is spawned at the firing point, and the endpoint is set to the hit location we calculated before the bullet was spawned. But issues again, bullet trace firing was firing in odd directions. The reason? I forgot to check the absolute position in the Niagara settings. With that fixed, I moved on to adding zoom and the HUD. I tested it out, and once I was happy, I made some UI elements in Blender and replaced the elements in the widgets. The only way to switch weapons right now is the scroll wheel, which works for now, but a weapon wheel would be nice. So in Blender, I made graphics for all the individual pieces of the weapon wheel, selected and unselected, and rendered them out. I imported the images encoded in a basic widget for the wheel, and I added blur behind the wheel and used the global time dilation node to slow down time when the player is in the weapon wheel. I used the position of the mouse cursor to find the angle from the center of the wheel, which gave me the currently selected option as an index. I made two arrays, one with the selected elements and one with the unselected elements, and toggle the visibility according to the currently selected weapon. The equip weapon function is also called with the index being passed to actually tie all of this together. I wanted to add an ammo count limit so that the player doesn't have an infinite number of bullets and has to actually manage resources, which was simple enough. An integer to keep track of all the bullets left, and an integer to keep track of the maximum number of bullets per gun. And whenever we fire the gun, the bullets left variable is decremented, so I won't want a melee in the game. At the same time, I do want an ability that lets the player get out of sticky situations by pushing all the enemies away when you're cornered. So, a shockwave in the left hand to accomplish that. Made a particle system and a key binding for it, and done. Also, I added lights to indicate if the shockwave is ready or not. The weapon and stuff are done for now. So for movement, I increased the acceleration to make the game feel more tight. I added double jump, and instead of using the default jump function, I made my own jump function to launch the player in the Z direction and also added an impulse in the direction of the movement input. I then added a dash keybind that launches the player in the direction of the movement input. Then after a delay, it slows the player down again. Kinda like the Sonido/Flash Tap from Bleach. That's all for this devlog, and if you want to learn how to make animated bullet holes from scratch, click on this video right here, and thanks for watching.